Let's call the Center County Board of Commissioners meeting on Tuesday, July 25th to order at 10:06. All those who are able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, do we have any public comment for items not appearing on today's agenda? Because there's some public in the room, but I think I know why you're here. All right. Any additions to the agenda, Commissioner Concepcion? All right, I keep having to.
Yeah, he's on vacation. Yeah.
Let's see, any changes or alterations to the meeting minutes?
No.
All right.
So I will move to approve the minutes then from the meetings held July 18th, 2023.
I will second the motion. All those in favor of approving the minutes from the meetings held on July 18th do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And let's see, now our next item is the update on the stage at Talleyrand, and I think we have, all right, looks like Tom didn't make it, but we have Mike, Rick. Oh, there's two Toms. All right. Only one that made it. So if you'd like to come up, we have extra seats available today, or at the microphone, whatever you'd prefer.
Comfortable sitting, if that's okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Great, thank you.
The rest of you can come up if you'd like. I'm probably not going to bite today.
We'll tag team you.
All right, okay, all right.
Well, thanks for the opportunity to bring you up to date on our project. We've been here before,
Yes.
it's over the years, and talked about what we're doing. It's the stage at Talleyrand, which is a new venue for music and other activities in the Talleyrand Park Annex. And we've been at this for close to 3 years now. When we first, Tom Wilson, former mayor, approached the three of us, Mike and Tom Bathgate, and said, I have an idea, I want to build a stage in the park. And at first I thought he was asking me to pay for it, but all he was asking me to do was organize it. It probably would have been easier to pay for it.
Yeah.
It's been an incredible journey with a great committee. And I'll just give you a rundown of what we've been doing. I'm going to turn to my colleagues. I think we've met with probably 200 different people specifically to talk about the stage, maybe more, some individually, some in groups, to get their input and to get their support. And almost universally, everybody thinks it's a great idea with their own little twist on it. And that has caused us to do all sorts of things, including hiring an architect who could design what we wanted and what everybody else wanted. We've talked to political folks like yourself, some of the other leaders of the community. We've talked to business leaders, we've talked to musicians and band leaders and asked for their input, service organizations like Kiwanis and the Lions Club, and got their input and their support. And we've talked to individual citizens. They all ask a few questions like, what's it going to be used for? And the answer is, it's going to be used to extend what already goes on at the gazebo. The gazebo is a beautiful part of the park. We believe that too. And it will still be used for certain events, but it's too small. The musicians who play there say the sound goes everywhere but where you want it to go. And we can create more space for observers, for participants, audiences who come to the concerts. If you've been to any of the concerts in the park, we have two roads that impact noise. Water Street coming down and then High Street going up. And this will cut off at least one of those streets. It won't end the road noise, but it will substantially change it, and the way the stage is planned to be structured, it will be projecting out away from the road. So we see lots of improvements, including lots of expansions of potential programs. We can do dance recitals, we can do plays, which we can't really do in the gazebo anymore. The biggest concern we heard was parking. I think you've heard that before too.
Yes.
Downtown areas always have parking, no matter what downtown area you go to, State College, Phillipsburg here. Parking is going to be an issue, but no more than it is right now. If we have bigger concerts, we're hoping by the time that happens, 2025, when the stage is built and operational, we'll have more parking alternatives. We're working on that. I know there's a plan to put in a hotel and parking lot on the green space in front of the Gamble Mill. That would solve many problems because it's a very short walk up the walkway over the bridge over to the stage. We also have an initiative that I'm sure you're aware of called Safe Pathways to the Park. And as those safe pathways get created, we may free up more parking spaces, and they will all lead into the park. So this is a big issue with multiple ways of solving it, and we're trying to integrate what we're doing with what's going on everywhere else in Bellefonte and Center County to solve this problem. But the parking problem is specific to Bellefonte. Beyond that, we have a few numbers we can share with you. Some of you, I know, were at our May 1st gala where we announced that we got our lead grant of $1 million from the Department of Community and Economic Development. We've raised over $100,000 in private donations from more than 50 donors, and we're just getting started. Really, we considered May 1st our kickoff date for raising funds. We have a commitment from a very generous donor. If we get to $100,000 short of our budget, which is right now $2.3 million, he will top it off the last $100,000. Firm commitment. We had several people hear it at the May 1st meeting. So we had a nice donation from the Happy Valley Adventure Bureau of $10,000. Even though, strictly speaking, we weren't exactly ready to get that kind of money because they look for how many more hotel rooms will be rented as a result of this. And we said this is pre-work for that. We really want to get it set up so this year and next year when we open, we will be able to answer those questions and do more in the way of marketing. So we feel very confident that we'll get to the number, the $2.4 million that we're seeking. The other thing that is really, really important in this is that we're going to continue to reach out for money. I've met with DCNR, and I've gone to a couple of seminars with the ARC, Appalachian Regional Commission, Council, and they have, right now their initiatives are geared toward other things, but they do have a specific area for developing tourism. And that, when they start releasing money on that, we'll be right in the front of the line. So we have lots of plans on how to raise money that are both public and private sourced. And finally, one of the big questions that we're always asked is, who's paying for this once it's built? What about the upkeep? And members of my committee have been down, especially Tom Bathgate, the road of construction, and we know it costs money to maintain buildings. I live in an old house on Lynn Street. I don't want to tell you how much money I spend maintaining that 1864 structure, but it's wonderful, and I set aside money to do it, and that's exactly what we're doing. That $2.4 million budget has about a 10% sinking fund. So we are confident that we can maintain the building for 10 years without doing anything else. And of course, that 10 years buys us time to continue to put money into that sinking fund. So we don't anticipate coming back to any organization and asking for maintenance money. So all in all, we're in a good position. We've got half of our budget already in our bank account, and we are planning on breaking ground October 1st as soon as the Pelican Snow Cone business moves on to a different location, because they have a 2-year lease with the borough, and the borough is about to sign a lease with us starting October 1st.
Make sure you invite us to that groundbreaking.
Yeah, we'll be excited to come to that groundbreaking.
Yeah, that's when we can just walk to.
It's going to be great. Yeah. Committee members, Tom, Mike?
Thank you.
Commissioners?
Yeah, I mean, this is an exciting project. I think when on the Adventure Bureau, like as we're evaluating projects like this, I think we are also thinking about like creating an ecosystem for visitation. So it's not necessarily just, does this put heads in beds in a hotel room like next week? It's what the kind of ecosystem we're creating. And Bellefonte is really like an important part of that ecosystem here in Happy Valley. Didn't we hear at the State of Tourism breakfast 2 weeks ago that Bellefonte was one of the, you're seeing more growth in visitation at Bellefonte than anywhere else in Center County? So
There's a reason for it. It's beautiful. There's lots of things to do. That the safe pathways to the park. It's one of 4 initiatives in the Commonwealth that we were chosen to be part of. So there's a lot going on here. When I moved here in 1979 and bought this great old house that I love to this day, and when I bought it, my realtor said, Bellefonte's about to take off. And 44 years later, it is.
Yes.
Makes me happy.
Yes, took a lot of effort by hundreds of different people, including the county stepping up and putting hundreds of thousands of dollars a year into Bellefonte over the last 8 years. As Amber was mentioning, the commissioners are working with a lot of other stakeholders, your group, the borough itself, the Happy Valley Venture Bureau, the Bellefonte Intervalley Chamber of Commerce, Downtown Bellefonte, Inc., the Bellefonte Springboard Incubator, many different people. Eventually, we'd like to have the Bellefonte Historic Railroad operating out of the train station. It would be so amazing to have people taking the train over to the brewery and the cidery, to have people before and after the events at the new stage, going to Big Spring Spirits, pulling a lot of visitors into Bellefonte and further invigorating the downtown.
I remember when I moved here, my boys were little, we used to take the railroad out to Curtin Village, and it was
Yep.
wonderful. I mean, my wife said, take the boys, they'll fall asleep on the train, but they woke me up when I got to Curtin Village. But it was wonderful. It really was a lot of fun.
Yes.
It'd be great to see that happen again.
Yeah, so the commissioners are very excited about your project and all of the other projects happening now in downtown Bellefonte and greater Bellefonte as well.
And we're doing our best, and so are the other organizations, to integrate the project so that we don't do different things that don't complement each other, and we don't do double work. So I think that's another good sign that this is all going to happen.
Wonderful,
Great.
wonderful. Anything else?
Thank you for being here.
Great, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I'm going to leave you with some brochures.
Okay, oh, good, very good.
I'll leave behind something.
Yes.
Keep us in the loop on any events you have coming up to
will.
support this.
Yes. Yeah, give us a little notice for the groundbreaking. Okay.
Thanks.
Pass them
Yeah,
on to
this
Steve.
is beautiful.
Great. Any questions from the press?
Thanks so much.
No?
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to bids and proposals. We have a Willowbank parking lot paving project bids receipt. I think John's handling that.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
So we went out to bid for the paving of the Willowbank parking lot. A pre-bid meeting was held on June 23rd, and a mandatory pre-bid walk-around meeting was held on July 7th. Bids were due and were opened on July 21st at 3 p.m., which were received through the PennBid online bidding platform. So we are before you today for approval to enter into contract negotiations. We had 3 bidders that completed the submission process. They were Bowman Excavating, Glen Hawbaker, and HRI Incorporated submitted complete submissions. So we are requesting approval to enter into contract negotiations. We will then come back before you on August 1st with a final contract for approval.
All right. Great. Anything else you need from us, John? No? Commissioner Concepcion, any questions? No? No? We'll take a motion then.
All right, I'll move to enter into contract negotiations for the Willowbank parking lot paving IFB.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor of entering into contract negotiations for the Willowbank parking lot paving IFB, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose nay. Motion carries. All right, now we'll move into our contracts for human services. I think Julia's up first.
I am. So good morning. I'm here to ask consideration of approval of a contract addendum with Center PA Community Action. And it was essentially, we've been given additional funds. We'd like to pass those through to Community Action for food purchases and administrative costs. The additional money was $2,512.03.
Wonderful. Any questions, Commissioner Concepcion? No? All right. We can take a motion now.
I'll move to add the contract addendum number 1 with Center PA Community Action to next week's consent agenda.
I will will second the motion. All those in favor of adding the contract addendum number 1 with the Center PA Community Action to next week's consent agenda, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, then I think Kathy comes up, and then you're up after that again. Thanks, Julia.
Good morning.
Morning, Kathy.
I have for you today a request to accept the grant award from the Office of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services for the first episode psychosis program. We submitted this grant application a few months ago with your approval, and we have been granted that award. This grant award is in the amount of $187,113.52 and will be for the time period July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. Very briefly, this grant is for early intervention and the coordination of services provided to individuals who are experiencing their first episode of psychosis. They're just starting to show signs of losing touch with reality. And what we have found through a great deal of research and experience, that the earlier we can get these individuals into treatment, the greater chances they are of having a successful recovery, and it will reduce the risk of further relapses. And through this program, we work closely with Oasis Life Care in providing coordinated specialty care. This includes therapy, family support, educational programs, medication management, supported employment, and case management. And we have found this coordinated specialty care model to be highly effective in helping individuals who have these initial episodes of psychosis to find this to be very effective in helping them to live productive and independent lives. And so it's very effective. Right now, we have 14 individuals in the program and have been very successful in providing them with support. And with this grant funding, we're hoping to serve more individuals and continue to support them in being productive and getting on with their lives.
Great, Kathy. Commissioner Concepcion, any comments?
Yeah, I'm just glad that we've received the award. It sounded really promising during the application period, and, clearly early intervention is going to be best for those individuals and their families. So, yeah, thanks for working on this.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Kathy. It's a significant amount of money, and as you mentioned, we're serving 14 people now. Potentially, we can serve substantially more people with this funding. And I think we're finding across all of our human services department that front-loading services tends to be the best way of approaching this. A, you're helping people almost as soon as they need it. B, over time, if you don't treat something, if you don't address a problem, it pretty much only gets worse. Ignoring it does not make it go away. And additionally, with the unemployment rate as low as it is in the county, we want everybody to be productive as much as they possibly can, because we need them one way or another somewhere here in the county. Great. Thanks, Kathy. Appreciate it. We'll take a motion then, Amber.
I'll move to accept the grant award for the first episode psychosis program from the Office of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
I will second the motion. All those in favor of accepting the grant award for the first episode psychosis program from OMSAS, do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you.
All right, and then Julia, right back up again for Children and Youth Services.
Good morning once again.
Yes.
So I'm here for 3 contracts with Children and Youth Services. The first one is with Barbara Topinka to provide legal services that will bring the number of attorneys that contract with Children and Youth Services up to 5, where it had been since some retirements and some people leaving. That's the first one. The second one is with Alex Croswell to provide consultation translation services for the county with Children and Youth Services. This contract is in 2 parts because we had the translator working with us for a month. That seemed to go really well. It's going well with the family. And so we wanted to continue that contract, and so we're asking to continue that contract through the all the way to June 30th of 2024.
Great, thanks, Julia. Any questions, Commissioner Concepcion?
I've seen Alex in action. She teaches bilingual reading in the school district, as well as providing services to families who need translation services, and does really everything that needs to be done. She just, yes.
wonderful to work with, and I think the school is where we made that connection, and it has been very beneficial, and most importantly, beneficial to the family.
Yeah, and she's, just wonderful with kids. So.
Great. Yeah, wonderful to hear we're getting that in place. I think we could take a motion then.
I'll move to add the Children and Youth Services contracts 1 through 3 to next week's consent agenda.
I will second the motion. All those in favor of adding the Children and Youth Services contracts to next week's consent agenda, do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Thanks, Julia. All right, on to John for 2 related capital projects items, something of an emergency nature.
Yes, so we unexpectedly had a sinkhole open up in the sheriff's parking lot down near the courthouse, a bit up by the sheriff's department. We had the county engineer go out to evaluate the severity of the situation, and his recommendation was to have a geotechnical analysis performed to see to what extent how deep the sinkhole went. So before you for consideration is approval of a professional services agreement with CMT Labs to provide the engineering services. And then what they are recommending, what CMT is recommending is to have LandServ come in to do the actual exploratory work and ultimately the repair of the area. It is of an emergency nature. CMT's engineer has recommended that the lot not be used, so we have cleared out the parking lot and it's not being used until we get this repaired. We have an amount on there for LandServ, but until we get in there, we don't know to what extent. So this is an absolute worst-case scenario, which is listed, which is $70,500. We're not expecting that. I'll knock on the table when I say that. But they are expecting to have to open up an area that's possibly 20 feet by 20 feet and 20 feet deep, hoping that they will hit bedrock before they would have to get to that depth. There is a history of sinkholes or depressions in that parking lot, and this seems to be following that trend. So we really want to get in there and get ahead of this before there would be a more significant impact to the area. So we are requesting approval of the 2 emergency capital projects pending final solicitor review.
Commissioner Concepcion, any questions?
Thank you.
And John, I believe we tried to put the famous 10-foot pole into the sinkhole, and it did not touch bottom.
It did not.
Yes,
Yeah,
so,
we took a 10-foot piece
Yeah.
of conduit and totally sunk it through the ground. It went all the way through, so,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the hole at the top is not actually all that large. Kind of interesting how those sinkholes are so tiny at the top when they start.
So when the engineer went out and looked at it, it is a very small opening, but when they were looking at it, if you look in further, it kind of fans out, and it's a much bigger opening underneath. And that's why we had to shut things down, because it's right in the travel lane, so vehicles coming, and it could
swallow them.
it could be a problem, yeah, especially with the weather that we're having around
Yes.
here lately, with the severity of the storms. We felt it best just to close it off and cover that up to try to keep it from further eroding.
And give our compliments to the county engineer. We've had a couple of short, quick turnaround projects for him here in the last couple of weeks, so.
He's been fantastic, yes.
All right, unless there's any other questions, I think we could take a motion.
I'll move to approve capital projects 1 and 2 pending solicitor review.
I will second the motion. All those in favor of approving capital projects 1 and 2, do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, great. Thanks, John. And now we have Mike Bloom, a former county employee, coming to tell us about an exciting pedestrian path in College Township.
Sure. Thank you, Commissioners. I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and it's nice to be back in Willowbank. So before you at your desk is a little visual to kind of give you a reference point as to what we're looking for. College Township has pursued this project in the past. It's a little rebranding from what you had seen previously, Mark, in the previous iteration. College Township seeking a letter of support for the College Township Regional Bike and Pedestrian Path. This is a 10-foot shared use path connecting Puddintown Road to an existing 8-foot path near Hastings Road on the Penn State campus in State College Borough, just off of University Drive. This approximately 1-mile path is a pretty key missing link to the existing regional bike and pedestrian network. And again, it will be viewed as an offset path off of East College Avenue, trying to get bikers and hikers and walkers off of the shoulders, away from the travel lanes into a safe facility to get them from point A to point B. How it's changed a little bit from when you previously have seen it and under its previous name, the East College Avenue Shared Use Path. We're working a little closer this time around with State College Borough. They are providing some consulting support to help us with grant preparation. In addition, we're a little closer aligned with Penn State University. Received a support letter from them yesterday, also a commitment of easements. They are the single largest property holder along this corridor, so that is a pretty big win. One of the things I will note is, as I referenced it as a missing link in the regional network, this is consistent with College Township's pedestrian facilities master plan, the Center Region Bike Plan, Penn State University's bicycle master plan, as well as both the county and Center Region comprehensive plans. So it checks an awful lot of boxes in terms of needs and consistency across the board from kind of that in-depth planning perspective. What we're doing also this time around is trying to break it into a couple phases of grants. We are pursuing 2 separate grants. One, a transportation alternative set-aside grant from PennDOT, and then the second grant, and the one that's referenced in front of you today, is a Commonwealth Financing Authority grant in the amount of $1 million. That would be, those 2 grants would contribute $2.5 million towards what is anticipated to be, based on our engineering estimates, a $3.3 million project in its entirety. College Township is already on the record with commitment of about $800,000 in local funds to make this project come to fruition. So again, before you, for your consideration, is a request for a letter of support for this grant application.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for the detail. And it looks like it'll potentially go eventually all the way from Squirrel Hill Road to campus then.
Correct, yeah. The real inflection point was the development of the Aspen Heights development on the hill there on Squirrel Drive. As part of their land development, they've made commitments to continue the existing sidewalk along College Avenue from Squirrel Drive to Puddintown. The project that we're pursuing then takes it from Puddintown up onto campus with the vision to eventually have this link into the pass in State College Borough and into campus as well. Again, kind of that missing link piece.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Commissioner Concepcion, any questions?
Yeah, I'm glad to see the developer doing that piece of the length of this, because it's really going to be important for the students who are living in the Aspen Heights development to have this safe route to campus. But I think it's been a concern for a long time that pedestrian traffic and bikes along that stretch is pretty hazardous. So, yeah, glad to see this going forward, hopefully. Do you have a timetable then for when?
It really hinges on grant approvals. We actually put together a schedule that if we're successful with both grants in these funding rounds, conceivably the project could start in 2024. Most of 24 would be taken up by more detailed engineering, acquiring the rights-of-way easements, any environmental clearances that we need to be done, with construction then to follow in 2025. But again, there's a lot of what-ifs and contingencies in ahead of that, but that's our goal, is about a 2-year project once we have the funding aligned.
That'd be fabulous. Last time this was announced, I did have a citizen call me and say, I really, really, really want those scooters those electric scooters to use the pedestrian path as well. And it's actually now, I think, more scooters than there were a couple of years ago. But additionally, I had a friend pass away yesterday who was a cyclist, and he was in a bike collision on South Atherton yesterday. So,
Obviously, a tragic incident there yesterday, so sympathies.
yeah, thanks. So yes, these pedestrian paths are very important. When I go to other areas with a lot of tourism, bike paths are a major component of that. People just love to bike all over the area from their hotel or their B&B and just explore. And in the center region, you can do that for a couple of miles, and then you're on the road for a mile or two, and then you're back on a bike path. So as you said, this is one of our critical missing links in the county. Great to see that moving forward. All right.
So I will move to approve the letter of support.
I will second that motion. All those in favor of approving the letter of support for the construction of the College Township Regional Bike/Pedestrian Path, do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you for your support. Appreciate it.
All right, now we move to our consent agenda, kind of on the shorter side.
Okay, I'll move to approve this week's consent agenda.
I will second the motion. All those in favor of approving this week's consent agenda, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, now we'll move to about an average size check run.
So with our check run today, one of our checks is to the ARC of Center County, and I want to highlight this as one of the agencies that serves our citizens who have intellectual disabilities. The ARC has been an important part of our community for a very long time, and an agency that's really important to the county's mission in that department. And with that, I will move to approve the check run dated July 21st, 2023.
I will second the motion. All those in favor of approving the check run dated July 21st, do so by stating aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. John, is there an administrator's report today?
Nothing to report at this time.
All right, and I'm assuming we are skipping the voter registration report. The Board of Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, August 8th, has been canceled due to the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania Summer Convention. Any executive sessions to report or hold?
No executive sessions to report. However, there is a need to hold a brief executive session to discuss a personnel matter.
All right. So we'll do that immediately following this meeting. The remainder of our public meeting schedule, we have a Finance Committee meeting Thursday at 9, followed by a combined Board of Commissioners and Salary Board meeting at 10 on Thursday. And then next week, Tuesday, August 1st, we have Board of Commissioners meeting at 10 and a work session at 11. Any questions from the press?
Any impact on the county budget yet with the state budget impasse? Any transferring of funds or any impact at all?
Not at this point, Gary. The county's in good financial shape. As we mentioned at the prior meeting, during the last budget impasse, Center County government made it about 6 months before we finally ran out of money. But there are other counties in the state where they might start running out within, say, 2 to 3 months. So, yes, we would urge our state legislators to get together and finalize that in the near future, because otherwise there will be impacts to citizens, to 911, to social service agencies, and to a broad variety of other really wonderful groups that do receive a substantial amount of state funding.
You've got a work session scheduled tomorrow. Are you taking tentative action on awarding contracts for broadband, or?
The work session tomorrow is more of an update. We have all 4 projects. We're looking at giving at least some level of financial support to each of those 4 projects, but we need to hammer out exactly how much, because our funds are limited, and these are big projects. I think the smallest one's, John, well over $500,000, and several of them are in the multi-millions. So need to prioritize and negotiate with the 2 main ISPs that we've been working with for that. But great question, Gary.
The county owns the one stoplight by the prison, is that right?
Well, the county was, yeah.
Is the county going to put in more lights? And I said, well, wait a minute.
Right.
They're not the county.
Right. Yeah, the county was responsible for replacing the light bulbs in that traffic signal.
And the electric. And the electricity.
And paying for the electricity. But maybe hopefully in the near future, we might not need to be doing that anymore. We'll see. But there's a whole lot more happening on the Benner Pike now than there was when that correctional facility was built.
That's all I
Great
have.
questions.
Thank you.
Anything from TAJ? No? All right. Unless there's anything else for the good of the order.
I will move to adjourn.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, enter
Oh,
executive
I'm
session.
sorry.
yes.
Okay. Move to enter executive session.
I will second the motion to enter into executive session. All those in favor of entering into executive session do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. We're entering into executive session. Thanks for coming, everyone.